old vet Shane. He has some information and maybe could shed light on the hearing this Wednesday for the UAP hearing, and
Heck yeah.
also has some interesting information from a incident in Alaska. I think would be interesting, kind of breaking news for people as well. Shane, what's up, dude?
Hell yeah. Let's go.
Hey, what's up, everybody? So, real quick before I get to that, you worked at Goldman Sachs, right? Did you happen to know Phil Cooper?
No, but that name sounds
Well, because he worked
super
there. I'm
familiar.
only telling you that because Phil Cooper, he started a company named Pine Island Capital, but he also used to work for Lockheed. He has a tech company because he knows all about that reverse engineered tech. But let me move on to the stuff we were just talking about. He just worked at Goldman Sachs, and I saw you did, so I thought I'd bring that up. So, Alaska, the last 3 days, for 3 days ago, I received a message and then about 16 photos. So I sent them off to get them vetted. But I'll tell you what I think they look like. We had scrambled jets and they're chasing discs. And then today I received more. It happened again near Clear Space Force Base in Alaska. Here's another cool part about that, though. Because it's Alaska, if you go to Erickson Air Force or Erickson Air Station, which is the furthest coyness station you can get, go have a look on Google Earth. Zoom in. You'll see some UFO parking aprons. I'm pretty sure that's a training location. So I don't know if those were our tech they were chasing or if it was actual UFO tech they were chasing. And then you talked about the hearing. So you have David, Braver, and Ryan. All of them talking about good stuff because they can talk about what it doesn't matter what people think about Ryan, Fravor. Here's the thing. They can say, we saw this, or we know there for a fact there's data that exists because that data is missing. And that's the biggest point because they're flying the craft. They can point to all this other stuff. But the big thing's David. All this stuff that David's saying, he was talking about in his line of work. He filled out an IG form. He's a military whistleblower, which it actually makes things that much better because if you're in the military, you have the UCMJ. If you go around your chain of command to bullshit, you're going to get taken down. So all of these things play into the biggest conspiracy in human history. 90 years, as a matter of fact. I'll also tell you that one of the secrets is because we've been getting tech. Now think about this. I just mentioned Phil Cooper and his tech. What happens to BlackRock and its portfolio of companies? Because BlackRock has a portfolio that involves Northrop, Lockheed, Raytheon. Guess who has some reverse engineered tech? Northrop, Lockheed, and Raytheon. Doesn't matter if they're flying the shit. If that tech goes away, they don't get all these freebies and tech upgrades. So now you got BlackRock who can legally pay politicians because they have 40 billion companies. That's what's been going on. Turner and a bunch of these others, they're just paying them to keep them quiet. So it's an insane shit show. I'll tell you this as well. Pay attention whenever you hear about a crash retrieval because it's now under my impression that, man, I'm going to start thinking that most of the shit that we're all seeing, there's a pretty good chance it's probably our tech, and it's been our tech since the 50s. Not all of it. There's still the whole NHI thing, but we've had this tech since the 50s. I'll call them the shitty EV craft because we can't leave the atmosphere. So I posted on I got a bunch of tweets about these different things in there. I thank you for letting me talk. I actually wanted to come in here and ask you about the Goldman Sachs. That was the most important thing because Phil Cooper is hot on my list of investigations.
I actually, now that you say his name, it sounds very familiar, but no, I did not know. I don't know him, or it's not quite ringing the bell, and I don't recall as of now. But so when you were saying that they were chasing them, can you go back to that part real quick? And then you said something about aprons. And I
Oh,
just,
I'm about 1,000 miles an hour with this subject. So yeah.
it's
So
okay.
yeah. Anyway, this is probably my favorite subject, and if you go to my spaces, this is exactly how I talk about 1,000 miles an hour about it. So I'll say that I saw multiple jets chasing multiple discs, and in the photos, you can clearly see they're disc shaped, and you clearly see the jets. And there's
Wow.
quite a few of them, right? But the thing that got me is one day was I was actually kind of excited. I was like, wow, these are pretty good pictures. I mean, no matter what, it looks anomalous, and I know she's not faking it. That's the thing. I know it's not a hoax. It looks anomalous. Then 2 days later, same thing happens. But here's the thing. I've heard I've heard else. Let's say sources. It's clear, Erickson. So, what's going on there? And most people aren't ready for this kind of shit, but there is a shadow war. The shadow war being some of what's here is so bad. We have developed a directed energy weapon, no shit, that can't be stopped to take them down. We have treaties. We do have multiple treaties. Some because we really don't have any options, and some because, they wanted to help us. And spiritually, in a way, I guess you could say it. And it sounds wild and crazy, but I could promise you, this is shit. This is why they kill people. They're not killing people over the tech, actually. They're killing people over the fact that our government has been so metaphysical. We know how to time travel. Now, bear with me. I'm not talking about in the movies. Time travel. Um, we can portal. We can track, chase, all this kind of stuff, and it's all because of consciousness. It's all based on the fact that the Kozyrev mirrors, we graduated to these Montauk chairs, MK Ultra type programs where we brutalize kids because we found out that trauma increases psi abilities and all these other things. And it also gets the
Yeah.
attention of Greys. I should say
What
NHI.
what were you about to say, Astro?
Oh, no, that's really interesting that about the psi that non. I mean, non. When you say NHI, it's non-human intelligence. Um, I mean, how do you figure that it's interacting with us, Shane? Like the non-human intelligence itself.
Well, so if we go and here's the thing, like Project Superman, Pegasus, all these different MK Ultra programs rely on a base level on trauma. And there's plenty of reading out there. You can also see the breadcrumbs from Lou, Sean Cahill. They talk about the relationship to trauma. There's a couple of different, I'll say, abduction stories that I'm pretty big on because they're really relevant. Scott Andrews type things, right? I don't know if anybody in here knows what the Star Kids are. Gordon Cooper had a quote. He's an astronaut. He says, "Yes, NASA's very aware of the Star Kids and what they do." The Star Kids were essentially our communication program with the NHI because we know that trauma works better on kids. That's what this whole Scott Andrews, that book that Simon and Schuster's gonna be releasing. That's where he starts as a Star Kid. And imagine
Is
this.
that the secret space program, or is that's different?
Yes. It's a
That is the
version. No,
secret.
no, no.
Okay.
It's a version of Secret Space Program. The Star Kids, right? So they communicate with them. Here's the crazy part. If you go back and look at the Russian science on these upgraded mirrors that America uses into the chair or whatever, they talk about UFOs popping into existence and the fact that when people left the experiments, they took gifts with them and interest of the UFOs. So bear with me here. Now, let's say the Scott Andrews leaves, they wipe your brain because also Lear talks about it, and so does a bunch of other people. These programs, black programs, actually have MK Ultra brainwashing programs. As you go into work every day, if you know too much, they'll wipe your fucking brain every day. You better believe it. So,
Yo, this is the exact it's called MRP, memory replacement procedure. And
Yes.
it's like with surgical precision type shit, y'all.
absolutely.
Yes, I've heard. So you probably heard about the Wingmakers, right? Have you heard about AR Borden and 15 and this matter of fact, I found the real name for the ACIO too. Because I'm piecing together what's real and what's not, and it's absolutely fascinating.
What are wing makers, Maze?
Oh, so they're okay. It's a Wingmakers. This is a fascinating story that's just fucking mind blowing. Excuse my language. I get excited and I tend to curse a lot because it just flies out of my mouth, but I can't help it because it's so fascinating. So like back when I was holding spaces too, it was in Clubhouse actually. I was holding rooms decoding the law of one, the raw material. And on Thursdays we had like this spiritual kind of everybody brings their own resources or whatever. And this one guy, he brought in this interview about with Al Bielek. Al Bielek basically was part of the Philadelphia experiment, and he kind of talked about his experiment, he how he time traveled and kind of this accidental journey, long story short. But in that interview, he mentioned the wing makers, and then the name just stuck out to me, and I'd looked it up, and that sent me on this very long journey. It's still to this day, it's always just revealing new things. But anyway, it was so there was this time capsule of sorts in Chaco Canyon that was uncovered, and it was like this metallic artifact of sorts that kind of was, they call it the compass because it kind of guided people into the inner part of the canyon, where over time, after some rock slides, you could actually get into this one cave where they had carved, I was in perfect, beautiful, like impeccable carved out chambers that had artwork and all this stuff in it. And anyway, it went all the way up. It was 23 chambers, and it went up in a spiral. And it also represents the genome, chromosomes, the 23 chromosomes. Anyway, at the very top, there was this optical disc. And Jameson Neruda was like the operative that was lead, and he's also linguistic. And when he went to go translate everything that was on that optical disc, which was in ancient Sumerian cuneiform, it was in petroglyphs, hieroglyphs, and all of these other ancient languages and whatever. He realized that it was kind of future time travelers that they went back in 800. They're from the 28th century, which actually aligns exactly with Al Bielik's story, right? And so they're from there, and they went back into 826 AD, and they created 7 different time capsules, one on each continent. They actually, when I first found out about this story, guys, there was only one of these time capsules, the Chaco Canyon one, that was found. Since then, all 7 have been found because each one would kind of provide more information as to where the other ones were. Anyway, the guy that was translating this, he ended up defecting himself from the ACIO, which is a clandestine organization under the NSA. And he defected himself because he knew that this is going to remain clandestine and classified, and he had to kind of give this message to humanity. And so he went and he found a journalist, and he basically gave her all this information. Anyway, we read all of the interviews. It's a fascinating story, but what you'll find is that, like, it's supposed to be mythology weaved in to truth. And as you go on this journey to figure out what the fuck is true and what's not, it blows your mind. It's like, holy shit. It truly is fascinating. And so what he's talking about right now is a lot of the stuff that was talked about in when he was revealing, because the reporter was obviously asking a lot of questions, and he was revealing a lot of things. The whole technology transfer program is where, this advanced contact has been happening for a long time, and they have been, getting a lot of technology, and they've, like, essentially, this isn't necessarily just from reverse engineering. They've been literally actively working with extraterrestrials. That's kind of the claim. But the memory replacement procedure was mentioned in there. That was one of the main things that was talked about. And yeah, but I actually, let me pull up something. So when he's talking about time travel, the way that we picture it from what's the movie? It's not like you get into some sort of car or some sort of time traveling machine. It's called extension neurosensing. And it truly, scientifically, from the life physics group, they explain how that's done. And it's much more remote viewing, but actually, just it's a little bit more different and a little bit more real. Go ahead, old vet, jump in. Did
I
you
was
want
going
to
to
add?
say you fucking nailed it. It's perception. So think about this, and let you guys. I'll blab forever because trust me, I'm a reporter about this topic. I love this fucking topic. Matter of fact, I'm headed to a festival now, and I'm also heading with a film crew to go catch some UFOs on some with David Altman. So check that
It
shit out in the future. Anyway, uh, time travel. I'll tell you this much: it's about perception, and I say that for the fact of time. It's all happening at once. Think fifth dimension perspective, right? All it is a matter of we flow this way as a human in one direction. Imagine, because time travel, trauma, you take in more information when you're traumatized. That's a form of time travel. That's why it goes slow. But if you have a good time, things go fast. That's all perception. So now you enhance this ability, You use these mirrors, the Montauk chair. What that does is it has the actual ability to focus photons, time, things like that. So these people can manifest things, remote view, time travel. It's in your head. You nailed it, Maze. And I want to say thank you guys. I need to go because I got to get to bed because I got to get some UFOs tomorrow. So thank you
Hell
very much.
yeah, bro. What did David Altman like? So yeah, man. Make sure you drop some links and shit. Where can we go find this stuff? I'd love to
I will actually. I'll be going live and shit my entire trip. So that, and then on top of that, I'm sure afterwards there'll be something coming out somewhere with all the with all that stuff. But I'll be documented. So just give me a follow, and you guys will be seeing it because I'll go live with all the time. I just love talking about this subject, and there's no one better to talk about it than UFO Twitter. So.
Oh, bro, I'm about to make sure I subscribe. I just saw your UFO channel. Guys, make sure you go and subscribe, show support. Make sure you check out the videos and like them. This is how we, show love in this app. So throw that up in the nest for everyone to go. I just
Thank
went
you.
and
I will.
subscribed
I
to your
will. Thank
channel.